It took me 3.5 years to decide to try ADHD medication, and the first one my doctor prescribed to me was Vyvanse. And boy, I was not prepared for everything that would go on with Vyvanse. These are the things they did not tell me before I took it. And one of the first things I noticed is hand tremors or shakiness of hands. When I took Vyvanse, I tried to put my hand like this and it would shake. I tried to hold something and my hands would just be shaking, so it's hard to hold things. It's not happening all the time, but enough that if I'm trying to do something and notice it at the time, then I would have to stop and put whatever I have in my hands down and then try to pick it up later. And this also freaked me out a little bit, is that Vyvanse actually makes your heart beat faster, or at least for me it did. I would just feel my heart beating a lot faster than I thought was normal. It wasn't like a panic attack kind of heart beating faster, because I've had panic attacks before. I know what that feels like. It was just randomly, as I just felt my heart throughout the day, it was just beating a lot more fast than normal, and I did not like that at all. And also the nausea, it was not any fun, especially when I first started on it, because when I first started, the nausea was really bad, and then over time, as I got onto the right dosage, it did decrease over time. But even when I was still on the right dosage, it was still kind of bad. It lasted for 30 minutes to maybe an hour to even maybe 2 hours on with the nausea in the morning when I first started taking it, and then over the day it would go away and then I'd be fine with no nausea. And something else that freaked me out the first time that it happened was I realized my blood pressure would be higher when on any stimulant medication for me, and especially with Vyvanse. The first time I went in and got a checkup and realized how high it would make my blood pressure, because I'm always used to, being healthy, trying to stay healthy and active and everything, and having a good blood pressure reading when I went in. I did not like the fact that it actually elevated my blood pressure. And I know it sounds all bad, right? But it's not all bad. Here's what Vyvanse feels like. It's an extended release medication. And so this is what that really means. It means that it's going to have a gradual come on, stay there for a minute, and then a gradual come off when you're taking Vyvanse or any extended release medication. That's at least how it works from my experience. And so with Vyvanse, for me, it just didn't feel like, I didn't even notice it as much, coming on and getting to the point to where I was focused. I would just be doing something and then realize, wow, I'm really focused, and I knew it was active at that point. And then when I felt like I wasn't really being as focused, I knew it was actually gone out of my system. But it wasn't such a big just, okay, I'm completely focused right away kind of thing. For example, let's compare Vyvanse to Adderall. With Adderall, it is just a take the medication and I'm all in, all gun ho, focus immediately. 30 minutes later, you are just super focused on whatever you're trying to do, which is great, But Vyvanse is not like that. It is more like a gradual come on. So let's say you're taking a cruise, right? You know how a cruise leaves out of port, is gradual, gets on those nice serene seas, and then you come back in really smooth. That's how Vyvanse works. It feels like a really good transition from starting to being on, and then also the finish. And by the way, if you're getting value out of the content, then go and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And I did not realize this at first. Your metabolism actually matters with Vyvanse. Vyvanse is supposed to have a 10 to 14 hour time that it is active in your body. But if your metabolism is fast, like my metabolism is, you can get only 6 to 8 hours at some point. That's at least what I got. And so I was like, okay, I'm not getting the 10 to 14 hours. I know it's out of my system about 8 hours in. I'm not getting any other benefit from it. And then I realized and was told your metabolism actually affects how long Vyvanse works for. Faster metabolism works less time. Slower metabolism may work more time. It just depends on your actual metabolism. And even though Vyvanse actually wears off gradually, you're probably wondering, does it still have kind of a crash because it's a stimulant medication? With Adderall, come up, be there for a little while, and come down really fast. If you've ever experienced the Adderall crash, I have. It's not fun when it happens, because you know that it's just not active anymore, and you feel it, or at least I felt it. But Vyvanse, much more gradual come down. Yeah, I still felt kind of a crash, but it wasn't one of those things to where it was just so much. Like 10 to 15 minutes, took a little break, I was good to go after the fact. So you still kind of have it, but for me, it just didn't last that long. So hopefully it doesn't last that long for you too if you take it. And sleep with Vyvanse, or lack thereof sleep, I learned this the hard way. You can't take Vyvanse later in the day. It has to be done in the morning. And the reason is, if I took it later in the day, because it's an extended release medication and lasts a lot longer, I would be up all night, even more so than when I took instant release medications. At least the instant release medications, I could generally try to get to sleep at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. With Vyvanse, yeah, not happening if I took it late. And so the point is I don't want you to go through that. So take it in the morning, and make sure you take it in the morning to where you have time to have it to where it will actually have time to wear off and not stay in your system, so you can't get to sleep at night, because if you don't, you may be up a long time with Vyvanse. And this is important: loss of appetite on Vyvanse. Even any other stimulant medication I've taken, loss of appetite. So I had to figure out a way to actually get myself hungry so I could eat. If I didn't, then I would go a whole day without eating anything, and that's not good. So what I do is I actually go work out, exercise, do any kind of physical activity that's going to burn calories, and that's going to make me hungry, and then I can actually eat during the day. Or I wait until all the medication wears off, and then immediately I'm hungry because I haven't eaten anything all day. And no one actually prepared me for the insurance nightmares and trying to pick up Vyvanse. First of all, if you don't have insurance, at least for me, if I didn't have insurance, then when I went to pick up the medication, then it would be like $300 or $250. And that's too much for a medication when you're doing it every 30 days. You just think about that. For a whole month, that's 303. That's a lot of money for a medication. And so if you have insurance, then that's going to be a lower price. It's still going to be expensive for medication because it just never gets down, or at least it never got down to something that's like $20 or $10. It was always expensive for me. Now the thing about it is, the reason it was $300 is because you do have to go, at least I had to go through a pre-authorization process. That means if my insurance didn't like pre-authorize it, then they would just they wouldn't cover it, and so it would be the actual retail price of everything. So I had to call and get my insurance company to give me a pre-authorization so they could cover it, so I'll get the discounted rate. And that was a headache because of the fact that sometimes I go in and be ready to pick everything up, and then the pharmacist would have to call to get the pre-authorization, and they couldn't get it. I had to call to get pre-authorization. And it happened multiple times where I went to pick it up, it was not ready because of the fact the pre-authorization had to keep getting done over and over and over again, just randomly. And so eventually I was just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore, because there's so much, just a nightmare of trying to make sure that everything is in order to just get the medication. I think this was maybe when Vyvanse first came to market, so it may be different now. But for me, it was just like logistical nightmare trying to get the medication when I actually needed it. And that just became a lot of hassle. And so at that point, my insurance company actually decided they're not going to cover it at some point anymore. And so at that point, I was like, well, no more getting pre-authorizations for it, because I can't. So I had to tell my doctor, give me something else to actually take, because I can't do Vyvanse anymore because of the cost of it. And here's where it worked for me, is when I was taking Vyvanse, I got to about 50 milligrams of Vyvanse after going through different dosages and finding the right one for Vyvanse for me. I didn't have any like bad interactions with any other medication that I was taking, so that was good. Overall, I really actually liked Vyvanse. And here's the thing, Vyvanse worked for me. It just had a mix of some other things that didn't work for me. And that doesn't mean I'm trying to discourage you from taking Vyvanse. It may be the perfect thing for you. I wish someone had just told me about all the things to expect with Vyvanse before I was prescribed it and started taking it. I do have another video that actually goes over the other ADHD medications I've taken. I've taken 5 of them in 6 years. I'm gonna put that video up. Watch that video and see about all the other medications I've taken. And if you're taking Vyvanse or thinking about taking Vyvanse, put it in the comments and let me know.